I'm fascinated by your musical direction, which is kind of what we're here to focus on today. Yeah, kind of want to talk about my reflection and I guess your musical journey. So before
Okay.
we go into the single itself, what was it like kind of taking those first steps into the studio, with Ade Fenton, kind of building this music for yourself? Because obviously you come from a musical family, you're around a lot of musical people. So what was
Yeah,
it like for you? Kind of, this is like the first forging of your own identity, I guess, if that's okay.
I
If that,
know.
yeah. So what's it like for you, and how do you feel as you take this first step out into the world with your own kind of musical output and identity?
Um, Very like surreal
Yeah.
and also kind of terrifying, like very nerve-wracking because like especially with this song, it's very like vulnerable. So
Yes.
it's kind of scary, but also this is something that I've dreamed of since I was like 9, so exciting as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what was it like? Because obviously you worked with Ade, who's obviously worked with your dad as well, and a bunch of other bands and artists across kind of alternative music. So what was that like to kind of again communicate your own vision to Ade? And was there any kind of did it go exactly as you wanted? Was it everything you wanted it to be, or were there some complications to it, or was it a very simple process?
It was quite simple. I just loved everything, like all of the ideas that he had.
Hmm.
Um, it was there was like hardly any, I didn't really have any notes. Everything was just went exactly the way I kind of wanted it to go. We had like the same vision.
Yeah.
For I mean, like, the music and everything. And it's also really nice to work with someone that I've known pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
So, that was great. That was r really nice. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, good. It's good to hear. And there's obviously so that you put out a Spotify playlist with a bunch of the musical influences. So there's everything that from like Nirvana to Lana Del Rey to Gwen Stefani. For me as a listener, there's a little bit of sort of 90s trip hop and the obvious kind of electronic
Yeah.
influence in there. But in your own words, I know I've read the press release, the Mazzy Star, the Deftones, all that stuff. In your own words, like what when you think about my reflection and you think about what you want to achieve as an artist, what are the major musical influences that you will carry with you? A bit like how I would assume, obviously your dad has spoken quite regularly about Nine Inch Nails being a pretty constant
Mhm.
influence for him. Are there any influences that you will carry constantly through your musical output, do you think?
Absolutely. I think definitely Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Always. I grew up, listening to them, and they're incredible. Um, and I think now Lana Del Rey, I think those two artists have had a major impact on me and like have definitely, I'm not sure if this makes sense, but like kind of shaped the way with like, I mean, like how I write music. If that
Yeah.
does that make any sense? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
um,
there's like the pop. There's a definitive like pop element, but
mhm,
it's not like there's so much dynamic to it in the same way, like a
right.
Mazzy Star or a Sneaker Pimps or
Yeah.
any of that kind of 90s sort of trip hop stuff. Sorry, I've kind of hijacked your answer, but carry on.
No, it's okay. Um, but yeah, I think like the pop side of it definitely comes from me being like completely obsessed with like, your normal pop stuff like Katy Perry and stuff.
Yes.
I loved her for years and years and years, so I definitely think that plays a part in it.
Mm,
Um, a small part though.
yeah.
Um, but I think the artists that I will definitely like look up to and carry with me for like the rest of my life are Nine Inch Nails and Lana Del Rey for sure.
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean that moves on nicely to my next couple of questions. Really, in the PR, it talks about unrealistic beauty standards. And
Mhm.
as someone with a disability, and obviously having been around people and working in mental health as well, seeing
Right.
how unrealistic beauty standards affect people, across the board. It doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter about what background you come from. If you're accessing YouTube, I mean, this is my opinion, but like
Yeah.
if you're accessing YouTube, if you're accessing TikTok, Facebook, you are bombarded with it. And I wonder,
Yeah.
um, is the track a reflection on what you see on a societal level, or is it directly tied to your own experience, Raven?
I think when I wrote it, it was directly tied to like me and my experience with that.
Mm,
Um, but I mean, this is what loads and loads of people, not just girls as well, go through. So it was just very difficult because I was like 17
mm,
and it was like peak COVID.
yeah,
So I felt like we were just trapped inside. You couldn't do anything, and the only thing you had was like social media, pretty much,
yeah.
you know, to keep yourself kind of entertained. Um, and I just got like stuck in this hole, I guess, where I'd look at all these girls and like these Instagram models and blah 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 blah, and I had nothing else to do, so I would just like kind of compare myself to them.
Mm,
And I mean, it was
yeah.
just, yeah. So this was about like, I think around 3 years ago.
Mm,
So I was very, young. And
mm,
yeah, I just didn't like, it was basically, the song was about, I still can't talk really about my like emotions.
mm,
So I write it, I
yeah,
write it on a piece of paper and then I can turn it into something like a song, for example.
yeah,
That's basically what I did.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, I felt like very insecure with myself and like how I looked. I didn't like my body. I,
Mm,
like my face or like tiny details that not like no one else could see, but I like noticed them,
mm,
nothing. So I just kind of like sat down and I was feeling very, very frustrated. I do remember that. And I just wrote everything down and
mm.
then I turned it into a song, which I normally do if I'm
Yeah,
feeling like that.
yeah, yeah. It's a great artistic kind of outlet.
Yeah, exactly. It really is.
Yeah. So did you get what you wanted from the obviously the song is out there now. It's been streamed, thousands of times by people. So people are going to take what they want from it. But did you get what you wanted? Was it catharsis? Did it do what you wanted it to do in terms of you got everything down, you got everything out? Was it everything you needed it to be at that time? And is it still now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's said with some confidence there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm really glad. I'm really glad. Two or three more questions now then, Raven. I think going from kind of it's an interesting one to go from the kind of unrealistic beauty standards and kind of visual side of things to this question, but it is a different one. Do you get excited by the visuals that you see other artists doing, and do you get excited by your own, by the video? Does it does it
Yes.
does it fill you with pride? Is where yeah, that's probably where we can go
Yeah,
with it. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've I look at like a lot of music videos. That's like actually one of my favorite things to do.
yeah,
I've even like when I watch music videos, for example, like Nine Inch Nails or something like that,
yeah.
sometimes it like kind of inspires me to, I don't know if this like makes sense, but it inspires me to like write like more songs because I'm like, oh, this is such a great video. I really want something like this. And then it just kind of like motivates me to get down and write. And I don't know, I've been like ever since I was like really young, I have this whole list of different things and like different sort of I guess visuals
Mm.
that I want for like each song. I've written like, I don't know, maybe more than like 50 songs. And for each of these
Wow.
songs, I have like a section where I have like, ooh, this would be a great idea for a music video, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I have tons of those. Um, but for, I mean, for this music video, it's kind of interesting because I don't really want to say much because
That's okay.
I want to leave it up to like the
Yeah,
viewer. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Um,
I do. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's just because it's again the visuals, everything that kind of came with that press release when I got it, even the down to the shots, it just felt like a very cool, a very cool image. And
yeah,
that's
I'm
kind
really
of
happy with it. I
yeah.
think it came out really well. I worked with two really great people, and we just, were like throwing out tons of ideas, and we kind of put all these ideas together, and we're like, hmm, this is kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
turning into a raven and like, I think you can kind of understand where the video is going if you watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no,
But
absolutely. If you want to leave it to people's interpretation as the artist, that's
yeah.
absolutely your call. And and I'm excited to see how it progresses for you in the future. The few weeks and months and stuff. It's a very exciting time for you, Raven, and I'm really happy for you and excited for you. Like I said, but one more question. Then I know we're running down on time, but I'm particularly interested. With obviously the lyrics of My Reflection, you talk about kind of credentials and things, and it made me think about um, your definition of success, your definition of, I asked this question a couple of times to different people at different levels of their career. Obviously, you're at the
Mhm.
very early stages. Given that
Yeah.
you grew up around a lot of it, but also you've got your own career now and developing your own attitudes to, I guess, the industry, etc. How do you define success, Raven, and what does it mean to you?
Hmm. I think if you're, I guess if you're like happy with yourself and happy
Yeah,
with everything you're doing, then I mean, you're already successful, if that makes any sense. Like
yeah, yeah,
right
it does.
now, I'm very happy with everything and I'm really happy with how everything's going.
Yeah,
And that feels, I don't know, it just feels great.
that's awesome.
Um, and that's how I would define success. Very simple, but yeah,
I
that's
like
how
it, and it's very cool to hear you say that you are happy with what you're doing, and that confidence is there in you. I think that's awesome. Um, to round up, then, is there a message for obviously your fans over here in the UK, obviously friends and family over in the US as well, people that have got behind you before now, years before now, as you were getting on stage, in the UK with your dad, and you were forging this journey for yourself? What is the message to those people that have supported you and will continue to do so?
Ooh, honestly, just thank you. Like, thank you so much. It really means a lot. Like the support and just, I don't know, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, that works. That's a solid message. Absolutely. And this is the point where we check whether I've done my job properly, Raven. Is there anything that you want to plug or promote as we finish up today that I have missed? Have I missed anything that you want to say or add before we finish up?
Hmm.
There's probably some stuff you can't say, but like if there's anything else.
Yeah. Um, no, not necessarily. I mean, listen to my song.
That again,
That.
that works. Yep, that works. Yeah, everybody go listen. Everybody go listen to Raven's song. Absolutely. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank
It's
you.
been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see your musical progression. And thank you for the work, and again, thank you for the time.
Thank you so much.